So speak life to the day's darkest night. Speak life when the sun won't shine and you don't know why. Look into the eyes of the broken hearted. Watch them come alive as soon as you speak. You speak love, you speak. You speak life. You speak life.
Make a change in your culture is it starts with you. It doesn't start with the government. It doesn't start with the president. It doesn't start with the police force, because we talked about all of that last week. If you want to make a change in your culture, it's got to start with you. It's got to start on the inside to make a difference in your culture. And so today I want to continue to talk about this, confronting your culture. How are we going to change our culture? You know, culture is a big word right now. It's a popular word in the business society. Everybody talks about that you want to create a culture. Matter of fact, Seattle Seahawks has created a culture where people are going all over the world. Coaches are going to the Seattle Seahawks. Whether you like Seattle or you hate Seattle, it doesn't matter. People are going to Seattle to see the culture that Seattle Seahawks have created around their football team. And as professional coaches, high school coaches, business people are going and saying, how did you create this culture? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about for us, is how do we create a culture? We're confronting the culture that we have because we're saying, you know what? We don't like the culture we're in. We don't like what's taking place. So how do we confront it? How do we change it to become what we want? It starts with us. Let's pray, and then I'm going to jump into it. Father, Lord, as we talk about confronting our culture, Lord, I pray that we would take this next few moments serious. That these would be things that we would apply to our lives. And we wouldn't just write them off as, well, that pastor's crazy. But instead, Lord, we'd take it to heart. And we said, these are the steps that we have to do to change our culture. And Lord, as we make these steps, Lord, we're going to see our culture changing. People will notice it. God will give you the honor and the praise for it. In Jesus' name, amen. Today, as I'm talking about confronting your culture, what I want to talk to you about is outsmarting your smart stuff. Outsmarting your smart stuff. Because I don't know if you realize or not, smart stuff's the thing now, isn't it? You got a smart TV, you got a smartphone, you got a smart computer, you got your iPads, what's smart. You have all this stuff that's smart. And I want to talk to you about the way to outsmart your smart stuff. Because if you think about it, and if we're going to talk about changing our culture, the first place that we really have to look at is the media. Because the media is the most influential thing that is taking place in our life. I mean, if you really think about it, you talking about media, you have television, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have the smartphones, you have your iPads, you have PlayStation 4, Xbox U, or whatever it's called. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Twitter. All of these things are media that comes into us. And so, if we want to change our culture, I want to talk to you about this stuff. How does this affect us? And the most popular still today is the TV. It's the most popular source of media for us. But let me just give you some statistics of all this stuff we just talked about, how much time we spend on it. On this little guy right here, our smartphones. Do you realize that the average person in America checks their social media 17 times a day? Out of 24 hours, now you got to remember, probably 8 to 10 of those hours you're sleeping. So about every hour you're awake, on average, we're checking our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, or we're some kind of social media that we're checking it out to see what's going on. Man, I didn't realize we were so popular. We got to be some popular people that we got to check it every hour to see what's going on. But our smartphones, on average, the average person uses a smartphone 4.7 hours a day. So almost 5 hours a day, the average person is on their phone. Doing something, whether it's watching media, on the videos on Facebook, watching the Twitter stuff, watching whatever. We're on our phones watching it. Watching TV, you can even watch TV on it now. But then you have the TV. That smart TV that's so popular now that's out. I don't know if you realize this, but 98% of all the homes in America have a TV. 98, that's more homes. That percentage isn't even that high for homes that have flushing commodes. We have more TVs in our house than people have running water. Do you catch that? That's how powerful the media is. That 98% of all homes have a TV in it. Nearly half of them, all of the homes in America, nearly half of them have at least two. 85% of Americans watch TV every single day. They don't miss a day. Every day, 85% of Americans watch TV. Now get this. How long do you think we watch TV every day? The average American watches TV almost 8 hours a day. You believe that? And I'm not making these. This isn't stuff I just pulled out of the air. These are real statistics. And I know it blows your mind because I was talking to Christy. I said, Christy, how many hours do you think an average person spends on the phone? She said, probably 2 hours. I said, well, how many average hours do you think a person watches TV? Probably about 4. And I'm like, well, you're about halfway there. Try 7 and 8, 9. That's how much time we're spending watching TV. Almost 8 hours a day. Next to sleeping and working, the thing that we do more than anything else is smart media stuff. Watching TV or playing on our smartphones. That's other than sleeping and working, that is the next thing we do the most of. So what we have to do is we have to get control of our smart stuff. We have to figure out how are we going to outsmart our smart stuff. Because this is what Jesus said. Listen to what Jesus says. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 22 through 23. And please, if you're flipping, I'm going to give you a few minutes just to flip there in the scripture. But before you do, let me tell you this. I'm not against TV. I'm not against PlayStation. I'm not against Xbox. I'm not against smartphones. All those things are neutral. Smartphones, TVs, they're not bad. So don't think that I'm there saying the TV's bad. You can't watch it. I'm not saying that. TV's not bad. Smartphones are not bad. They're neutral. It's what you do with them makes them good or bad. But the TV itself is neutral. My TV's not doing anything right now. It's just sitting there. It's what I do with it. My phone's not doing anything. It's what I do with it that makes it good or bad. So I'm not up here preaching that TV's bad. I'm not up here preaching that smartphones, iPads, computers are bad. So please don't take that, because some of you have already turned me off. Some of you already said, I'm checked out. Preachers up here saying that TV's bad. I'm not listening to a word he's saying. I'm not saying that. But listen to what Jesus says. Matthew chapter 6, verse 22 through 23. It'll be up here on the screen for you. It says, your eyes is a lamp that provides light for your body. When your eye is good, your whole body is filled with light, is what it says. But when your eye is bad, your whole body is filled with darkness. And if the light you think you have is actually darkness, how deep that darkness is what Jesus says. Jesus is not coming here saying, guys, I want to give you a lesson on the eyes. That's not what he's saying. When he's talking about your eyes, he's not trying to give us a lesson on the eyes. He's not trying to give us a physical lesson right here about our physical body. What he's doing right here, he's giving us a spiritual lesson. And he's giving us a spiritual lesson. And what he's saying is your vision determines your values. Your vision determines your values. Somehow, what shapes us is what we see, is what Jesus is saying. Are you getting this? What you see shapes who you are, is what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying that there is a connection between your character and your cornea, is what he's saying. He said, what you watch, what you see, what comes in these eyes, there's a very connection with your character of who you are. In other words, what he's saying is, what you watch is who you become. The things that you are watching and you're taking in is who you become. And there's all kinds of studies on this. You guys know it. That there's all kinds of studies on kids with what they watch. And some of us are saying, yeah, man, I agree with you, man. Kids don't need to be watching this stuff. But listen, I want to talk to adults too. Because there's some junk that adults, we're not supposed to be watching. And I know it affects us. I can tell you right off the bat from Brack, my youngest one, whatever he's watching is what he's doing. And if he's watching the cartoon, ninja cartoon where there's fighting and all that stuff, he's ready to fight everybody. He's over there, whoa, whoa, he's flying around, doing back kick spins, rolling around, kicking. I'm like, son, I told him, we got to cut him off. He can't watch this stuff. It's crazy. But then he watched Spy Kids. And all of a sudden, one day he comes out, he's got glasses on, he has slicked his hair over with some kind of grease sliding over, and we walk outside, and he's leaning up against the car like this. I'm like, what are you doing? He's on Spy Kid. I'm like, you're kidding me. But here's the point. The things that you watch affect you. It changes you. 1 Corinthians tells us this. He says, do not be deceived. Evil communication corrupts good character. Is what, and that's King James for you guys. Y'all didn't know I had a King James, did you? Do not be deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. So what I want you to see, if media, which we're talking about our smartphones, we're talking about TV, if it influences who we are, don't we need to take a look at it? Because it plays such a prominent part in our life. If we're watching it 7, 8 hours a day, and for some of us, I know what we're doing. We're watching, at the same time we're watching, we're also thumbing up on Facebook or Twitter, and we're watching both of them at the same time. I figure that's the only way we can get 12 hours in a day of it. And so, he says, do not be deceived. Evil communication corrupts good character, good manners. There are several things that the smart stuff, how it affects us. The TV, the iPads, the PlayStations, and all of this. And the first thing is this. It shapes your values. Smart stuff can shape your values. Because we're bombarded with commercials, aren't we? It doesn't matter if you're on Facebook and you want to see something, you have to click it, you have to watch the commercials. If you're watching TV, you have to watch the commercials. And I don't know about you, but man, I grew up thinking about the butter knife and the knives that we had when we got married 20-something years ago were great knives. But then I watched this commercial with this ginseng knife that can take a knife and cut a brick in two. And I was like, I got to have that knife. Because one day I'm going to need to cut a brick. And then I want to turn around and cut my tomato. And so I've got to have it. And that's how powerful the TV is, the commercials that run. You know, we we thought the Pinto car was the greatest car. Some of y'all don't even know what a Pinto is over here on this side. Like, huh? But man, we thought that was a great car till Lexus came along, and Lexus shows us this car that's so smooth that they can put 1,500 champagne glasses on it and fill them full of champagne, and the champagne glasses won't fall. Remember that commercial? Huh? Yeah, we're going way back. These are the commercials that have stuck out in my head. And now there's this guy, for some reason, I can't remember his name right now, but he's on the radio all the time. Mark Spain, I think is his name. Heard of him? Yeah, man. He's already flooded my mind. If I'm going to sell a house, I need to go see Mark Spain. He's from the University of Georgia, and that joker can sell some stuff. See, it just pours in us. And it stays with us. So it can shape your values. Edmund Newman said this. Edmund Newman said that we used to get our values from church, schools, and homes. Now we get them from TV. There was a PBS documentary, and on this documentary, this is what it said. It said, Russians impart values through forced education. China imparts values through propaganda. It said, America promotes values through advertising. It's what's shaping our values, is the advertising that we watch. A second thing that the smart stuff is having an effect on us. It causes us unrealistic expectations. I mean, it blurs our perspective on reality. You watch TV now, and everything's solved in 30 minutes. You can have somebody die, murdered, they'll do the DNA, they'll solve the case, and in 30 minutes they've figured it out. And if it's a really bad case, it may have taken an hour. Or for us that are the gamers, that you play the games all the time, that it is kind of messed with our perspective, because now we think that shooting people's no big deal. We just go boom, 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 boom. And if we don't like it, we'll hit the reset button and start all over. But in real life, we just can't hit the reset button, can we? So it's giving us this unrealistic expectations. And the problem is that in real life, the real problems we have, we can't solve in 30 minutes, can we? Jacob? Taylor? It's going to take you longer than 30 minutes to solve some of your marital issues. These guys are getting married next week if you don't know Jacob and Taylor. They're getting married Saturday. I hope it's Saturday. I hope I'm there. It's going to take you longer than 30 minutes to solve some of y'all's intense discussions down the road. It's not like a TV where it's, all right, it's a commercial break. But no, you're going to have to work through it. The next thing that this smart stuff does is it numbs us. It's made us numb. Why is that? Let's go back before internet. Some of you, I know like Alex can't even relate to this, before internet. But before we had internet, before we had Facebook, before we had all of these things, when you woke up, what was your problem? For me, when I woke up, my biggest problem was Oakwood, Georgia. Then I may hear something, well, Jimmy's store down there at the convenience store got robbed. But that was about all I would hear. You know, you may hear the Atlanta news and what was going on in the Atlanta news, but that was it. But now, because of the smartphones, because of the TVs, because of the internet, because of Fox News, because of CNN, we don't just hear locally what's going on. What do we hear? Everything is going on around the whole world. And I can prove it to you that you've been numb. Let me take you down a journey, okay? Let's go down a little journey of, remember the first time you were watching TV and you saw this little Ethiopian kid, pot-belly, sitting there dirty, legs about the size of your pinky, And he's sitting there hunched over a bowl eating rice. And they're saying for $1 a day, you can feed this kid. And I remember the first time I ever seen that, I remember saying, oh my goodness, these guys are starving to death. It breaks my heart. Man, I want to send them $1 a day. I can make a difference. Now I've seen that commercial so many times. It doesn't even faze me. All right, change the channel. That's the starving kids. It don't faze me because I've become numb to it. Where were you in Columbine? You remember when Columbine took place? It blew you away. Your heart was broke. Maybe you were weeping and crying over what happened. Now what do we do when there's a school shooting? Just not a school shooting. Because of TV and media, we see so much of it that we become numb. It's just another one. It's just another shooting. It's just another this. So it not only shapes our values, but it numbs us from suffering. Another thing that it does to us, Alex, if you can get these up on the screen for me, I appreciate it. Another thing it does to us, it numbs our resistance to sin because it glamorizes it. Think about it. It looks so good on TV, doesn't it? You're watching TV, or you're on Facebook, and it glamorizes sin. On TV, you never see a married couple just happily in love in bed. What you always see is an affair going on. Somebody cheating, somebody doing this, somebody doing that. And so, keep rolling them up, Alex. Keep rolling. But it numbs us from the sin. We see it on such a regular basis. Another thing it does, it replaces relationships. How many of us know this? How many of us know somebody that we have seen this smart stuff that we're talking about replace relationships? That you've met an old flame on Facebook, and that because of that we've gone to meet them, or we started a connection. And not only that, how many of you have seen this? You go out to eat, a family of 5. They're all sitting around the table, and every one of them are doing what? Nobody's talking. Every one of them at Olive Garden, they're spending $60 at Olive Garden. Speaking from experience, I know they're spending $60 at Olive Garden, and nobody's talking. They're doing this. You take your date out if you're single, and your boyfriend or your girlfriend sitting over there, and they're going, yeah, And what it's doing is, when we allow this to happen, it's stopping us from being in the moment. That you're not in the moment with that person, with that family. So you're missing the whole moment. And so it's putting this relationship in, even with us at home and TV. And when I'm telling you this, I'm guilty of it. That I'm guilty of being at home and watching TV and saying, hey, everybody hush. We're spending family time together. Nobody talk. We're watching TV. That's good family time, isn't it? Eli, shut up. I got to rewind this now. And so we find ourselves substituting our smart stuff for relationships. And they did a survey. They asked kids between the ages of 4 and 6, and once again, please hear me, I tell you I'm guilty of this. that we use the TV as a babysitter. Netflix says, we use Netflix as a babysitter, okay? Because I'm guilty of it. But listen, they asked 4 to 6-year-olds, they said most 4 to 6-year-olds have 3 parents. Not 2, but 3. Mom, Dad, the TV. And they asked these 4 to 6-year-olds, they said, who would you rather lose? Your dad or the TV? And 46% of 4 to 6-year-olds said they'd rather lose their dad than the TV. I believe that's accurate if you were to ask Brack. He said, Brack, son, you want to lose your TV with no more Netflix, no more cartoons? Or do you want to lose your dad? My dad, see you. You're out of here, Pops. I believe it would happen. But can you imagine that? Let me tell you something else that smart stuff can do to us if we want to take back our culture. Smart stuff, it can make you passive. Have you ever noticed how hypnotic it is for just to scroll up like this on your phone? That I can spend 30, 40 minutes before I blink an eye just going, it's hypnotic. Have you ever noticed that you sit down, I'll tell you one, you know, I came back from vacation, and what I ended up with, in case you don't know, is a bacteria called Shigella, is what I had. That's what laid me up in the hospital. And so the Sunday before I went to the hospital, I was not able to come here because I was wiped out. And so I'm sitting at home, and I've got the TV, I'm watching Netflix, and before I knew it, I had watched 16 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was looking for something to watch. I said, I'll turn on S.H.I.E.L.D., and before I knew it, just Sunday, 16 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're 40 minutes apiece. And I realized, like, holy smokes. I've watched 16 episodes. That's almost 16 hours. I was like, I could have been doing so much more. I thought, no, I couldn't. I can't even think. Because I was out of my mind. Some of you guys knew how out of my mind I was. I came back here and I couldn't even carry on a conversation. It had wiped me out. But my point is this. How many of you have ever done that? Maybe not 16 episodes. But you sat down and watched Netflix. You're going to watch one episode and you've watched 15, 10, all night. And you're like, where did the time go? Man, I wish I could have had some of this back. It just sucks you in. Really and truly, TV and the smartphones, it's almost a drug. They did Good Housekeeping, did a project where they took 120 people and they said, hey, we will give you $500 if you will go a month without TV, smartphones, or anything. $500. Go 30 days. Asked 120 people, 94 of them said, forget it. I am not giving up my TV and my smartphone for 30 days for $500. 90 of them did it. Said, no way, I'm not doing it. The other ones, they started reporting that people started talking to their cats. People were going crazy. That they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to act. They were having withdrawal symptoms from their TV. Can you imagine that? Some of y'all are like, that's a piece of cake. There's no sense in that. You're crazy, Pastor. Try it. I challenge you to turn it off for 30 days. I'm not going to give you $500. But you can try it yourself. And here's the bottom line. We have got to learn how to control our smart stuff if we're going to change our culture. Because if it's the commercials and it's the stuff that is being poured in us, that is teaching us and training us and making us who we are, we've got to learn to control what's coming in. what is being put in. So here's several things real quick that I want to talk to you about to change this, because I only got a few minutes left here. Number one, select what you watch before turning it on. Make up your mind. Listen, how many times have you just gotten up in the morning and said, well, you know what? I'm going to get on the internet. And when you get on the internet and you don't have a plan, what happens? You end up spending hours on there. Oh, I'll surf this. I'll surf that. I'll do this. And then what happens if you don't have a plan? Then all of a sudden you find yourself going to look at things that you don't even have any business going to look at. So the first thing that you have to do is, before you decide, I'm going to get on my smartphone, before I'm going to get on the internet, before I'm going to do anything, I'm going to have, this is the reason I'm getting on. This is what I'm going to look at. That way you don't have all this time that you're spending and find yourself drifting off in all these places that you don't need to go. Then you're not spending the first hour, 2 hours of your day just surfing the internet. Flipping channels. How many of you done that? Turn on the TV. I don't know what to watch. I'm just going to flip channels. I've got 200 channels. Click, 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 click. Hey, QVC. Shopping Network. Hey, what is it? And you're just clicking on and clicking on. Know what you're going to watch instead of just jumping in there. Proverbs 15:14 says, a wise man is hungry for truth. The fool feeds on trash. A wise person is hungry for knowledge. The fool feeds on trash. Tell me the Bible's not contemporary. Tell me the Bible doesn't already know this stuff. And the Bible tells us, hey guys, a wise person is hungry for knowledge, while the fool feeds on trash. You can't exist on a diet of Twinkies, can you? Well, let me rephrase that, because I've done that before. And you see the results of it. You can't exist on a diet of Twinkies and it be healthy, can it? The same thing with what we watch. If all you put in is junk 24/7, it can't be healthy for you. Psalms 119 verse 37 says, keep me from paying attention to the worthless. Turn my eyes from the worthless things and give me life through your word. Some of you need to write that first part down. Psalms 119:37. Some of you need to turn my eyes from the worthless things, God. You need to write that down and make it your prayer. God, turn my eyes from these things. So what do you watch? What is it that we can or do need to be taken in? Philippians 4:8 says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, any of these things is excellent or praiseworthy. Think on such things. That is what we're supposed to be watching. That cuts down on a lot of stuff, don't it? That we're not supposed to be watching. Real quick, another way that you can do this is manage your time with your DVR, Netflix, Hulu. Then you can determine when you're going to watch stuff, instead of being stuck right there at the TV all the time. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 16 says, make the best use of your time despite the evil of these days. He says, make the best of your time. You choose when you're going to watch these things. The third thing, the way that we take back our culture, is actively evaluate what you see and what you hear. Proverbs 14:15 says, a fool will believe anything. Actively evaluate what you're seeing and you're hearing. Can I tell you something? Fox News, CNN, is not the authority. What is the authority is the Bible. That's the one thing that is true. That's the one thing that will stand. Because you can't believe everything you see on TV, and you can't believe everything you hear on TV. Because they can take one of those lenses and make me skinny. They can take one of those lenses and make me fat, but there's no need to do that. But they can take one of those, you can take filters and you can do so much with them and you can change somebody. So you can't believe everything you see and you hear on TV. You can't believe everything you see and you hear on Facebook or Twitter. Otherwise, guess what? The Rock's dead. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know The Rock died? Who else has died? A bunch of them. Because if you believe everything you see on Facebook, if you believe everything you see on Facebook, Jody and I was talking the other day, and the coconut oil will make your teeth grow back. I told her, I said, I read in there on Facebook where you take that coconut oil and you pack it in the rotten tooth, and it'll reform and heal that tooth and bring it all the way back, make it whole again. I was like, I'm gonna try that. It didn't work. Didn't try it either, but you can't believe everything you hear. You can't believe everything you see. That we're seeing come in. So you have to evaluate these things. You have to say, you know what? This isn't necessarily true. First Thessalonians 5:21 and 22 tells us this. Test everything. It says, test everything. Hold on to the good things. Avoid every kind of evil. Is what he says. So we're not supposed to believe everything. Every program's not the truth. And here's what's scary. If you believe that the media, the TV, is influencing our values and our character and who we are, if you believe that, do you realize that there are about 9 people in the world that are deciding what kind of character we're supposed to have? What kind of values we're supposed to have? And these are the executives of the networks that are deciding what they want to put on TV and what they don't. About 9 of them. The advertisement is coming in. These are the guys that are affecting us. And if you don't believe me, let's go back. And I'm not saying that whether some of the stuff they're deciding is bad or some of the stuff they're deciding is good, but I just want to take you back on a journey. Some of you guys, you're not even going to remember some of this, but I want to take you back on a journey. And I want you to think back when you saw this movie or you saw this TV show, how shocked you were. How many of you remember Jungle Fever? 2 of us, 3 of us. Only about 3, 4, 5 of us in here remember Jungle Fever. Do you remember the stink of that show? And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying that they said, you know what, we want to make it. If you don't remember Jungle Fever, it was about a black guy and a white girl dating and getting together. And at that time, it was socially unaccepted. And so they said, we want to make this more accessible. So we're going to do a show about it where people will see it and will accept it. And so over time, that they have changed the way we think because of the TV shows and what you've seen, that now all of a sudden it's, okay, this is acceptable. And like I said, that's why I'm saying everything that they do is not bad. But let's go back. How many of you remember Roseanne? Okay, we're getting closer at the time. How many of you guys remember the first 2 girls kissing? That was Roseanne. And I remember everybody having a fit. I can't believe that 2 girls are kissing on national TV. It was a big stink. I was watching TV the other day, flipping through, and 2 guys were kissing, and guess what? I was like, oh, gross. No big deal. Just 2 gross. It's the only thing that went through my mind. Do you see how that has changed? From when we were having a heart attack and tripping out and flipping out and saying, this cannot be, to now, from the time Roseanne was on to now, where you just say, hey, no big deal. See, this is the journey that these guys have taken us on. And whether it's good, bad, whether you agree with it or not, the stuff that we're putting in affects us. And so we need to evaluate what we're hearing, what we're watching, what you're listening to as far as music. All of this stuff is coming in and it's creating us and making our culture. If we're going to confront our culture, we have to change some things. And that's another thing I would challenge you to do is regulate how many hours you watch TV. Some of you, I saw some of your faces when I said that you watch TV 8 hours and you're on your smartphone 4 to 7 hours. You were just blown away. Not me. I would never do that. Here's my challenge to you. Let's see how many hours you actually are watching TV. I challenge you to, when you go home, put a notebook beside your table. Every time the TV's turned on, you write what time it is. And then you write what time the TV's turned on. And you do that for an entire week. And see how much TV you are watching. How much time you are spending on your smartphones, on Facebook, watching the videos, playing the games, and seeing how that's affecting you. I think you'll be surprised. Because we've done this before. We've done this before with reading our Bible when we did a 40-day challenge. And for 40 days we were going to read our Bible every day. And people told me, said, man, Pastor, I didn't realize that I thought I read my Bible every day, but now that you're having me record it, I'm realizing I'm not reading my Bible once or twice a week. They were shocked of how little they were reading when they thought they were reading a lot. Well, the same thing's going to happen to you with TV. You're thinking, well, I never watch TV. But you start recording it, and you're going to be like, whoa, sucker's on all the time. No wonder the power bill's so high. It's not the air conditioning, it's the TV running wide open. The average child from 2 to 11 spend 22 and a half hours a week watching TV. That means by the time he's in preschool, by the time he begins kindergarten, he spent more time in front of the TV than he'll spend earning a college degree. That's what that means. Before he starts school, he's already spent more time in front of the TV than he will go into college. By the time a child finishes high school, he will have spent 12,000 hours in the classroom. At the same rate, he will have spent 20,000 hours watching TV. Think about this. Let's compare that for us. If you come to church every Sunday from the time you're born to you're 65 years old, you will have spent 4.5 months in church. If you come from the time you were born to you're 65 years old every Sunday, you will have spent 4.5 months being taught the Bible. Sound pretty good? On the other hand, you will have spent 9.5 years of your life watching TV. What's shaping our values? What's shaping our culture? The Bible teaching or our TV? Our smartphones? The internet? The radio? That's a big difference, isn't it? 4.5 months compared to 9.5 years. Wow. And 1 Corinthians 10:23 tells us everything's permissible. It says everything's permissible, but not everything is beneficial or constructive. So I'm not telling you TV's bad. I'm not telling you your smartphone's bad. I'm not telling you that any of these things are bad. What I'm telling you is that we need to say, you know what? I'm going to cut back on some of this. Instead of watching 7 hours of TV, I'm going to watch 5. What would you do with 2 extra hours a day? You see, we say all the time, we say, we don't have time to do this. I'd like to take up this hobby, but I don't have time. I'd like to take up this sport, I don't have time. I would like to read this book, but I don't have time. What if you turned off the TV, turned off the phones, turned off everything for 2 hours extra a day? Then would you have time to do that sport? Then would you have time to do that hobby? Then would you have time to read that book? That's what I challenge you to do. See, I'm not asking you to cut it all off. I'm saying, cut off 2 hours of it. Christy and I, first of the year, and it was a big step. It was a scary step. But first of the year, we cut off the dish. We did away with it. See, we're not going to have a dish anymore. And we found, for us, doing that has freed up time. We still have Netflix, we still have Hulu, and we watch some things on that, but we're not spending that 7-8 hours a day now watching TV. Instead, we're going out and playing basketball. Christy's studying. I'm going out and playing basketball with my boys. I'm getting up, instead of sitting and watching TV, and instead of doing nothing, I'm getting up and going to the garage, and this is going to shock some of you, but started lifting weights. I know you can't tell it, but in 3 months I'm going to look like Jacob. I got to get some of that juice Jacob's taking. Get some of that protein juice that he's been drinking. Get pumped up. But so, because we cut it out, it's freed some time up for us to do other things. Where we can do some things that we want to do. What if you were to cut some of these things out? What if you were to say, you know what? There's some things I'm going to quit watching. Because it's offensive. I'm not going to watch this show. It used to be when you're watching a show and they would say, GD, you turn the channel. And then it went from, well, I'm going to turn the channel, I'm not going to watch that. They say, is what you say. Now you don't even say anymore. We just keep watching it like it's an everyday word. What if we say there's some TV shows I'm not going to watch anymore? Because A.W. Tozer, I don't know how many of you guys know him. I know some of you guys know him. But A.W. Tozer said this, said, America has lost its ability to blush. Because of the stuff that we're watching. You want to take back your culture? You want to take back the things that are coming in? You want to confront your culture? Let's start saying there's some things I'm not going to watch anymore. There's some things that I'm going to stop watching 8 hours of TV. I'm going to stop spending 4 hours on my smartphones, videos and all this. I'm going to cut back on all this, and I'm going to give me an extra 2 hours or 3 hours where I can start changing my culture and investing in me. And when I invest in me, then I can turn around and invest in other people. What if we were to do that? See, last week I told you it starts with us. You want to change a culture? You want to change a nation? You want to change? It starts right here. What are you willing to change? What are you willing to turn off? What are you willing to not listen to? What are you willing to say, you know what? I'm not going to watch this. What are you willing to do? You want to change your culture? And the most powerful thing that we're allowing into our lives is the media, the TV, the radio, the smartphones, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And it's time that we take control over what we're allowing in our lives. And some of us need to do like David said. David in Psalms 101, verse number 3 says this. He says, I will set before my eyes no evil things. I will set before my eyes no evil things, no vile things. you willing to make that challenge? Are you willing to accept that challenge? Are you willing to say, I'm going to set before my eyes no vile things? That when things on TV are coming on that are just, I'm going to change the channel. The perverted things, I'm going to change the channel. What if we got back to that? What if we got back to when you watch something, it actually embarrassed you? You're like, oh man, this is not good. I can't watch it. I can't sit and watch it. I've got to get up and leave. That's taking back our culture. And here's what is boiling the whole thing down to. Some of you won't even know what I'm talking about. But what we're getting back to is just old-fashioned holiness. Is what we're getting back to. You know what? Those things just, they don't appeal to me. I'm not going to watch them. I'm going to do away with it. And people say you're crazy. People are going to say you're crazy. Why don't you watch? You're crazy. It's all right. I'd rather be called crazy and be in the presence of God. I'd rather be called crazy and create my own culture instead of having somebody else create it for me. So we've got to get to that place where David said, well, I'm not going to set anything evil before my eyes. Are you willing to do that? It amazes me what some of us are allowing into our house. For some of you guys, your step to be, and it'll be a big step for you, is to go home and turn Cinemax off. To go home and turn HBO off. And say, you know what? The junk that's on there is not worth it. I remember anytime that Dish has ever, when we were with Dish, they called us up and said, hey, we're going to give you 3 free months of HBO. We're going to give you 3 free months of Cinemax. We're going to give you 3 free months of Showtime. You know what I've always told them? No. I don't. It's free, Mr. Thornton. We're just going to get it. I don't want it. Because I don't want the junk coming into my house. TV is communication. It's just like inviting somebody over into your house. You're inviting them into your house. You're turning it on and letting it come into your house. And the thing is, we would never allow somebody to come into our house and cuss the way that we see on TV, drink the way we see on TV, act the way that we see, shooting and killing and all that. We never allow that to come into our house. But we'll turn it on TV and sit and watch it. And let it come. For some of you, your altar response is not here today. Your altar response is going home and calling Dish and saying, I need to turn some things off. That's your altar response. You say, you know what? I'm taking my culture back. I'm not going to allow them to dictate to me and numb my mind where it doesn't even faze me to see when people are shot. When people are killed, when lives are taken. I'm taking it back today and saying, today is the day that everything changes. I'm not going to allow these evil things to continue to come into my life and numb me. Let me ask you this. When's the last time that you have been moved to the point of tears and crying and repentance because of the stuff that's come into your life you allowed? When's the last time when you broke down and you said, God, forgive me, and you've wept and cried over it? Can you remember that time? Or has it been so long that because you've become so numb that it don't even faze you anymore? You can't remember the last time you've wept. You can't remember the last time you've just you've fallen before God's face at their feet and said, God, forgive me. Forgive me, God, for what I've done. And the tears are rolling down your face. because of the shame, the hurt. Instead, we've allowed a culture to change us and numb us, where those things don't even bother us anymore. We're just like, give me God, and move on. Oh, if you want revival and you want your culture back, there comes a time when you've got to get real before God. You've got to fall on your face before Him. You've got to just let it all out. And can I tell you something? Man, a cry's good sometimes. A good cry may make you feel better. A good cry will release it. When's the last time you just really gave it to God? Let's pray, Father.